Hi everyone. Overmind is a neutral AI breaker, and with its increased efficiency as compared to Crypsys, I can see it being played in a lot of factions. Today I'm here to show you um, one way in which you can use it, which is in an Exile deck. So here's my Exile deck, which is completely based around breaking ice with Overmind and using a lot of hardware to make Overmind that much better and that much more um, efficient in breaking ice with it. So let's get started. I got a very good opening hand, consisting of one link and two underworld contacts, which gives me two pet campaigns worth of credits every turn, which is pretty much the most ideal opening you can ask for, especially against a Jinteki which doesn't play very fast as a corp. It doesn't pass advance. So with my steady income here, I can start building up my rig. The first thing that should get laid down is an Insight Man, because I'm playing a lot of hardware. It almost as much hardware as there are programs in my Professor deck. So having the two recurring credits to spend on hardware is a huge boon and frees up my drip credits to be used on pumping Overmind instead. Alright, so it installs in the remote and turns out it's a toll move, so I'm shut out. And I lose my 3 credits, which was a pain, because I I ran instinctively, seeing that I only started with 1 credit, but then I quickly realized that um, Underworld Contacts gave me 2 extra credits, so I had to lose them all. But it's okay. I siphoned him to get up to speed. Now I have 10 credits to play with. Yes, there's a bit of anti-synergy here, because Siphon gives me tags, and I really don't want to clear tags. That really slows me down. My rig already takes too long to build up, and having to clear tags makes things worse. But at the same time, I'm running Underworld Contacts as my main income source, so I do need to clear tags sooner or later. And there's Insight Man as well. So yes, there's a problem there. But thankfully, he is low on credits, so he doesn't clear my resources. So now I check his R&D, thinking that he won't have enough credits to rest whatever's on that. Turns out it's an Eli, and now he's flat out broke. I click through it, and I want to see a card. It's a Future Perfect. Oh, ho, ho, ho. Everyone watching this, please learn a lesson, especially if you are playing a Jinteki. Have some credits on hand. Don't rest ice that causes you to fall below 3 credits, or even 4 to activate Snare. Had he not rest the Eli and I accessed that Future Perfect, he would still have a good shot of defending it, even though I still had 2 clicks left to run. He could be able to outmaneuver me with the side game, but once he rested, he was doomed to fail. With 0 credits, I easily stole the Future Perfect, which would otherwise have been a pain to steal, and he had to click for credits next turn. So yeah, it's looking awful for him, and I access a Shikyu. I was waiting for him to trigger the Shikyu. That's why there's a very long wait. But then I realized that, hey, Shikyu does not activate from R&D. Yep, I need to be familiar with that. So now he attempts to score something in the remote. I don't think I have any way of contesting that. With no way to summon my Overmind. I mean, there's the self-modifying code, I suppose, but I'm not ready to do so yet. So I actually concede the 2-pointer to him, a medical breakthrough, which is unfortunate, but I prefer building up my rig. So I set up an LLDS processor, which will give any new Overminds 1 strength, as well as a clone chip to aid in Exile recursion. He tries to put something in the remote. Again, this time I'm not going to let him get away so easily. So with the 1 strength Overmind, I'm able to break through to move, and with my riches, it's not a problem. So I'll access it, and turns out it's a shock. Here I make a huge mistake. I actually trash it for 2 credits. I definitely shouldn't have done that. I should let him manually trash it. That was a very stupid play. You should never trash shocks unless you're accessing HQ or R&D and you want to access more cards without having to deal with the shocks. So yes, big mistake there. He's still too poor to snipe off my resources, even though I'm tagged, so that's good. Although now it seems like he is thinking of celebrity gifting, and he does. There's a floating entanglement and a house of knives, along with a shop. But this is a signal to start running through HQ, and it would cost me 4 credits to run through each time, or 2 clicks. A pretty hefty sum, to be honest. He installs something in the remote. I have no way of telling whether it's a shop or a 3 advanced agenda. It could be either. So I decide to peek in his hand and see what he has to offer. And I see a shock. Net damage aside, we now know what's in that server. It's an agenda. So I'm thinking of the best way to get through the remote server. Now my Overmind has 1 strength because of LLDS. If I bump it to 3 strength with helpful AI, I would need 2 credits to get through the toll booth plus 3 for paying the toll. So I actually could have done it, but I think I forgot about the helpful AI. Yep. So that was a pity. I missed my opportunity to score the agenda. And as a result, he scored it instead. So it was a question of whether it was a Philotic or a House of Knives. Turns out it's a House of Knives. So the scary thing is not that he's on 4 points, but that he has 2 House of Knives to work with. That is incredibly daunting. I'll try to find his Philotic entanglement by running through HQ. And he zaps me with House of Knives. Oh, sorry, no. I perform an account siphon, of course, because the best way to keep Jinteki down is to use account siphon. So that's great. Notice that throughout this entire game, I forget to use Exile's ability. I keep forgetting that on Octagon it's not automated, and anyway, I should be doing it manually, because that's how you do it in real life. So I need to remind myself, anytime I use a test run, scavenge, or clone chip to think about whether it involves installing from the heap, and if so, to draw a card. Alright, so he secures his remote, and it makes me think that that's definitely a Philotic, and there's no way that I can let him score it. So first off, it's a siphon to keep him down to 0 credits. And I continue keeping the tags. He's thinking of whether to use the House of Knives tokens. After this, I plan to, since I'm on 20 credits, I can now easily run his remote server and he cannot res it. And he cannot score the next turn anyway, because he has no credits. So now it's my turn to strike. I need to prepare. I prepare lots of hardware and begin the run. It's a chum, so I break the chum for 4 credits. Then I install over my Overmind with another Overmind from my heap, and then pay through the toll booth. That cost me more than half of my credits, but it got me through. And I finally get a reward I so well deserved. A Philotic entanglement! Great. So now I'm on 5 points, he's on 4, and we are both looking for what an anticlimactic way to go out. Even though I was harboring tags, didn't throw out with plus crit, I definitely had it coming. But still, well, who knew? You'd splash 4 influence for Scorched Earth in Jinteki. Some people do it nowadays, and I definitely should have expected it. Although that being said, I didn't see any of it while performing any excesses, so it gave me a false sense of security. Oh well, so that's my Exile Overmind deck. There are a couple of problems with it, most notably economy. It's heavily reliant on Siphon, and against the likes of Ambia and Wayland, where I'm forced to clear tags, I don't think my deck is fast enough to compete with these kind of corps. Considering that my economy is very weak right now, it's mostly based on underworld contacts. And so if I don't draw it out, or if I don't draw my link early enough, I will suffer very, very hard when it comes to the mid game rolls around. I guess it could be solved by using Kate as my ID instead, but I really, really want to make this work in Exile, and I feel that the card draw can work to my advantage. Another card that I missed out on this playthrough was Replicator. With so many hardware that I'm running, of course, Replicator's a must. It helps me tutor the additional copies of hardware I need, and all of them are useful in multiples. Dyson Mem chip gives me more memory. Clone chip gives me more forms of recursion. LDS processor gives me more strength, and R&D interface can't live without it. So yes, it was very sad that I didn't get a single replicator this game. It would really have helped, although I'm not sure I would have the economy to support it anyways. But still, very interesting game, and definitely a learning lessons on both sides. His Jinteki play was nice, and he definitely got me with some of his well-timed traps, the shot in particular. And yeah, he generally got the grasp of his timing windows correct. It's just that the game ended prematurely with him scorching me. I wonder if it would have been any different had he not had drawn the scorch. That's all for now. Thanks for watching. Happy night running.